Hello and welcome to this week's MoneyFit Live webinar. We are talking about personal finances during national emergencies and the checklist of items you should consider having or using to be prepared for current or future emergencies. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. We're going to start with the section that's about financials. So there's two sections here, financials and the checklist about information that we need to have at hand. First, let's get to financials. You see here, we're going to start with money and accounts. Do you have on your checklist, do you have a list of all your different accounts, financial accounts that you have? Are they checking accounts, savings accounts, certificates of deposit, money market, 401k, 403b, IRA? Write down not just the account, but what it is, where it's located, the branch, and the financial institution. Have this list also on this list also include the account number. Now that is pretty sensitive information. So this is not a checklist you're going to share outside of your home. This is generally a checklist for you to have. It might be something that you carry on a phone, if you have it online. If you do so, you're going to want to put it behind a password. But a list of all of your accounts, where they are, what the account numbers are, and so forth, so that if in a real disaster, you will have a list right there with you where you can carry and you know where your money is, and not forget about funds that you have and resources that you have available to you. Have savings accounts dedicated just for emergencies. Many households have one savings account, and if they put it all. Most households have not had savings accounts traditionally, but when they do, they typically only have one savings account. And so they'll put in their emergency savings. They'll put in money there to save for vacations and to save for Christmas gift giving or birthday gift giving. And then it gets all mixed up and you spend it on this when it was supposed to be spent on that. Do not mix up your emergency savings funds with any other short-term purpose. So have an emergency savings account expressly for emergencies. And you can even name it. You get online, and most financial institutions allow you to name your accounts. You want to have enough cash at home to take care of yourself for a couple of weeks. If, for example, electricity is out, ATMs are not working, banks are closed, have enough money to be able to take care of food and to take care of necessary supplies for usually 2, maybe 3 weeks. You can have more than that, but I would not recommend trying to do that if you're heading right in or already in the emergency. There's going to be some supplies, usually depending on the situation. Either if it's a localized disaster, there will be supplies coming in within the next 2 weeks or so. If it's more extended, it usually does not last. In the majority of cases, it usually doesn't last more than a few weeks or a couple of months. But even in such cases, it is often, you're often can work with somebody, or you're allowed to get food at stores. But you're going to want to have some cash. Typically, $200, $300 is a minimum. Again, look at how much do you think you're going to spend for food for 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a little gasoline. Keep in mind, though, that during disasters, quite often prices, because supplies sometimes can be can decrease, and yet demand stays the same or goes up, prices are going to go up as well. So you might want more than what you would normally have to spend on groceries and supplies for 2 or 3 weeks, and hygiene products, of course. You want to prioritize your spending. Now, this is a code word for a budget. Do you know what the most important expenses are in your household so that you take care of those during, leading up to and during any emergencies that we might have? What I recommend, and you can find this on our website, moneyfit.org. We have a post for this, and the information is there. Prioritize, give every expense a priority from 1 to 4. 1 is absolute survival expenses. You need a place to live. You need some food of some sort. You need some protective clothing. And I'm not talking about hazmat suits or gas masks or anything like that. I am talking about just having something to keep you warm if it's cold outside, having something to keep you from getting burnt to a crisp if it's summertime. It's just some clothes, usually fairly minimal cost-wise. Some people may also need prescriptions, medical expenses. So those are usually the top priority physical survival needs. Then you have under priority number 2, these are the top priority wants, the very important critical wants. These are things that if you didn't fulfill those wants, life would get extremely inconvenient or difficult, not impossible, but difficult very quickly. Usually these include things like your cell phones, your internet access, and transportation vehicle, and all the expenses that go along with that to keep it running. That would be number 2. Number 3, most wants that you could do without for a few weeks or a few months. And then number 4 are the trivial wants, things that you absolutely know you could go without. A lot of subscriptions, gym membership, for example, that in an emergency, you're probably not going to be able to make it to a gym anyway. These are the sort of things that you want to make sure that if we know of an emergency coming, such as a pandemic, that you know what you can cut down on so that you have the funds available to you during the emergency and immediately after for recovery. So that's a spending plan or budget. That's really all a budget is. It's planning how you prioritizing what are the most important expenses so you can take care of them during the coming weeks and months. You might want to consider side income, hustle or a side gig, whatever they call it. If you know that money's going to get tight, if you are at risk or have already lost income, jump on the opportunity to start earning some extra income, whether it's community-based, helping people, helping those in some communities nearby to take care of their dogs, or to offer some childcare, or to work on something that needs to be fixed if you have that skill, to a little more open or a little further beyond, and things like food delivery that may still be going on. Look for opportunities to increase your income if you're struggling with current employment. And then finally, on this side, scam and fraud awareness. Be aware. Know that it's coming. It's already here, probably, if you're in the middle of an emergency, national emergency. And these fraudsters and these scammers just crawl out from underneath the rock wherever they've been hiding out. And when they see other people in need and there's fear in other people's eyes, they know that they're going to be able to take advantage of them and gain money for it. So if you know that they're out there, it's going to help prevent loss of your money, loss of property, and so forth. Talk about it with family members, talk about it with friends. Of course, anytime somebody is asking you to donate during an emergency or after a disaster, great. If you want to help, if you're in a position, do it. But never give your financial information to somebody who calls you asking for a donation or who sends you an email. Always, if you're going to do it, just go directly to whatever the charity is you want to donate to. Find that website online and donate to them directly. Don't ever give money over the phone or via because of a response to an email. Of course, if anybody ever calls you and says, hey, this is such and such a government agency, we're ready to provide some cash assistance to you. We just need your account number, or we need a card to set up, and we need you to give us that information. Don't ever, just hang up. Please just hang up. Do everybody a favor, hang up. The government is not calling you, asking you for your account information. That's not how it's going to work. So just be aware, fraud is out there. People are asking for money. They're much more likely to just be after your money, not they're taking care of anybody else. Spending is an important thing here. When you are approaching or in the middle of an emergency, if you have income, now is not the time to be spending money frivolously or on non-necessity items. Now is the time to be saving money for near and long and short-term future. So save money from anything that comes in. You do want to have reasonable supplies. You don't want to be hoarding, as it talks about hoarding there. Reasonable amount of supplies. Again, usually 2 to 3 weeks worth of food and hygiene supplies. By the end of 2 to 3 weeks, there will be more coming in, or you can go out and find some at local stores. Hoarding and herding. So hoarding, most people know what hoarding is. It's not just stockpiling, but it comes with the idea that you're taking more than your fair share. That's hoarding. Herding is also very prevalent. It's a mentality that comes with being human, when we are in the middle of a crisis and we are starting to base decisions on fear, we're worried about our current situation and the near-term future, and all of a sudden we see somebody who in the store who clears out or takes half of some item off the shelf. Have no idea why they took it. It's not food. It's not an emergency item. They took half of it. The herding mentality says, whoa, I got to jump in and do this. Maybe that person knows something I don't. So we take the rest of it, and all of a sudden it just starts disappearing from shelves everywhere. And it's not hoarding. It's not provisions that we need. It's just we just follow the leader. We just start doing what other people are doing because we're basing our decisions on fear, not on rational fact. Okay, then keep paying down your debts. Make sure that you keep paying down debts. That's important, even during a crisis or an emergency or disaster. The exception here is if you hear from your creditors and they tell you very specifically, do not, because of the crisis, we do not expect a payment this month, and you will not have to pay any extra interest. Otherwise, try to stay on top of making at least minimum payments, or continue to pay down. As long as you have income, continue to pay as you can and what you owe. And then the last one, stay in touch with your creditors. If you foresee that you're about to lose your job, or you could lose your job, and you're worried that you're not going to be able to make your debt payments to your lenders as agreed, then give them a call up front and let them know, hey, here's the situation, and ask them about their hardship programs. You have to go in with some information, though. You have to go in with knowing what your budget will allow. You need to know if you're out of work, are you going to have any kind of unemployment income? Do you have any resources? Can you afford? If you just say, I can't afford anything, the question then is, well, how are you affording to eat? Or how are you affording to stay in your home or your car? Lenders are going to ask, look, we don't, in hardship, they'll give you some concessions. They may say, okay, we can do without a payment this month, or we can do a much lower payment this month or for the next 3 months. But we need to know that you're going to be in a position at some point, or that you understand your position well enough to give us an idea of how long this is going to last. They're not in the business of donations and charity. That's nonprofits and charitable nonprofits. Lenders are not in the business of giving away money, so don't expect them to forgive the money just because we're going through a little hard time here and there. They will have hardship programs. Ask them about that. Work with them on those so that you can get back on your feet and get your debts taken care of. Let's talk about then the informational side of the checklist. So financial things, what you should be doing, information you should have about your finances. Your info checklist includes this. First, starts with your contacts. Make a list of all your healthcare providers, mental health care providers, counselors, psychologists, dentists, physicians, physical therapists, anybody who you see regularly. You want to list their name, who they see in the household. If it's a family physician, they probably see the entire family. But if it's only one member of the family that sees it, note that. What is their phone number? What's their email? What's their address? If you have an email address, great. And then if there's anything particular they're treating you for, you might want to include that as well. If for whatever reason you become incapacitated during the emergency or the disaster, you want a family member to be able to access that information. Have a list. Speaking of family members, have a list. On that list, include on your checklist all your family members, your immediate family members, yourself, if you're married or have a partner, spouse, names and dates of birth. You might include a brief physical description. You will also include children, siblings, and parents. Not is a good idea, particularly if you're live anywhere near them. But have that. And if you are putting this together on a computer, might as well take some pictures instead of just a brief description. It wouldn't hurt. Other important contacts could include your child's daycare, your child's school, anything that you might need to access in or right after an emergency. Insurance companies will be among those as well. Financial contacts, your financial planner, an accountant, anything along those lines. But insurance companies, who's your agent for your health insurance, your dental insurance, your vision insurance, your life insurance? Who are the beneficiaries? What is the policy number? What's the phone number for the company? So that's part of that checklist there. Make sure that you include all that. Documents that you want to gather. Do an inventory of your home. This is something that I do. I try to do every January 1st. Usually it's when the rest of the family is still asleep. I'm up and I'm going through the house with the camera, just either a video or with some photos, documenting all of our property and things that we have in the home in case there was any damage or loss or theft. So document, do an inventory, a visual inventory at least. Then do you have a will? If you do, have you updated it in the last year or two? Especially if anything has changed in your circumstances, marriage, new child, new job, anything like that, a new home. Make sure that you have a will, that you don't place the will in a safe deposit box at a bank or credit union. Typically, if something were to happen to you, that box becomes temporarily locked and inaccessible. You want it available. So if you have an attorney, keep it at an attorney's office. Store it online, but make sure that somebody knows how to get to it if something happens to you. Prescriptions. Do you have a list of prescriptions? Who are they for? What's the dosage? Where's the pharmacy that you typically get them from? Keep a list of prescriptions there. And then ownership paperwork. So if you own a home, your mortgage, or if you actually have the deed to the property or any other property, if you have title to vehicles, and receipts for large assets, large purchases. All of these things, you keep them. If you have a safe, it would not be a bad idea just to have a small safe that is mostly just for documents. It fits something about the size of a manila folder, maybe 11 by 14, 11 by 15. It's pretty small, but it can keep your documents in there, make it waterproof, fireproof would be ideal. You're gonna spend probably a half a day's worth of income on it, or a whole day's worth of income on it. It's something to put on your checklist of things to get to be prepared for your next emergency, or hopefully won't need one. But when you do go through that sort of thing, you're going to want to have it to protect your documents and information. If you would like a certificate of completion for this course, for this webinar, please go down here on the bottom. It says https://bit.ly/MFL, that stands for Money Fit Live, MFL checklist. No spaces, dashes, dots in that MFL checklist. No caps, no capital letters, all small letters. You'll put in your name, your email address, the city and state where you live, and it will ask you for the passcode. The passcode is check 2020. No spaces, again, no dashes, dots, nothing. Lowercase, CHECK 2020. Click submit, generate a certificate immediately for you into your email inbox. If there's anything we can do for you, answer any questions, provide clarifications, or additional webinars, please find us at moneyfit.org. Our archive of webinars is found through our MoneyFit Live webinar portal. It's moneyfit.org/live. And there's a link right underneath the current live icon or page there, or link. You can find all the previously archived webinars. Thank you, and I wish you all the best. Have a good day and be safe and healthy during any current or future disasters or emergencies.